Picture this. You are burning a child alive. The child is screaming. The child's mother is screaming. Your brothers are burning them too. Hundreds of people. Thousands. And you are doing it because you love them. Because you care. Because the Salamanders taught you that protecting humanity sometimes means killing it quickly before something worse kills it slowly. They call you the good guys, the noble chapter, the ones who actually value human life. But your hands are covered in the ashes of people you murdered to save them. And the worst part? You would do it again. You will do it again. Because that is what it means to be a Salamander successor in Warhammer 40,000. This is not about honor. This is not about glory. This is about what happens when compassion meets a universe designed to punish it. When love becomes the reason you pull the trigger. And I promise you, by the time we are done here, you will understand why some Imperial citizens hide when the storm wyverns answer their distress calls. Why they whisper that death by orcs might be kinder than salvation by fire. Your name is Cain and you are 11 years old and you should not be here. You should be in the obsidian mines of Dracos with your mother and sisters. You should be another anonymous worker dying young from miner's rot in a frozen hellscape where the atmosphere tries to kill you. But you made a choice. You volunteered. You stepped forward when the storm wyverns called for recruits because your mother is dying and someone needs to protect your sisters, and you genuinely believed that becoming a space marine would give you the power to help them. What they did not tell you is that by the time you gain that power, you will not be capable of caring anymore. That the boy who loves his family will die during training, and what emerges will be a weapon that understands love only as a tactical consideration. Dracos is not a kind world. Nothing in the Imperium is kind, but Dracos takes cruelty to artistic levels. The planet is tidally locked with its sun. One hemisphere burns under eternal daylight where temperatures climb high enough to vaporize water instantly. The other hemisphere freezes in permanent darkness where the air itself turns to snow and falls in crystalline drifts that will slice through unprotected skin. Between these two extremes is a thin band of barely habitable land called the Terminator Zone. This is where 70 million people try to survive. Your family works the obsidian mines. When magma from the hot side flows far enough to reach the cold side, it crystallizes into volcanic glass. This glass is the only thing Dracos produces that anyone wants. It is used in high-grade optics, in weapon systems, in the decorative armor of nobles who will never see the world it came from. Your father died extracting it when you were 7. A tunnel collapsed during one of the constant quakes. They never recovered his body, just sealed the tunnel and moved on because stopping production would cost more than one miner's life is worth. Your mother took his place in the mines. 18-hour shifts in darkness, breathing air thick with volcanic dust, her lungs slowly turning black from the inside out. She coughs constantly now, brings up blood and black phlegm. You know what it means. Everyone knows what miner's rot looks like. She has maybe 2 years left if she is lucky, less if the rot spreads faster. Your sisters are 9 and 6, too young to work the mines yet, too young to protect themselves from the recruiters who come looking for workers for the processing plants, for the chemical refineries, for the pleasure houses that serve the off-world traders. When your mother dies, they will be vulnerable, alone, and you cannot protect them because you are just a child yourself. Just another piece of meat waiting to be ground up by a universe that does not care whether you live or die. Then the storm wyverns arrive. Their dropship descends through Dracos' atmosphere like a falling star. The sonic boom rattles windows 5 kilometers away. The entire settlement is ordered to Central Plaza. 70,000 people pressed together so tightly you can barely breathe. The Planetary Defense Force, the Draken Guard, forms a perimeter. Their lost guns are ready, not to protect the civilians, to ensure nobody runs. The storm wyverns emerge from their ship and the crowd goes silent. These are not men. These are gods of war wearing human shape. They stand nearly 8 feet tall in their armor. The ceramite is painted storm gray with bronze trim. Each suit is covered in individually carved scales that catch the dim light. Their helmets are shaped like dragon skulls with eye lenses that glow like embers. The leader steps forward. His armor is more ornate than the others, decorated with bones and chains and purity seals covered in writing you cannot read. When he speaks, his voice carries across the entire plaza without amplification. Some kind of vox system built into the armor. We are the Storm Wyverns, sons of Vulcan, defenders of humanity. We seek aspirants, those with the strength to endure, the courage to sacrifice, the will to become something greater than human. Step forward if you believe you possess these qualities. The silence stretches. Nobody moves. Everyone understands what this really means. The Storm Wyverns are recruiting, taking children. Most chapters do this through raids, simply taking whoever they want. The Storm Wyverns at least pretend to offer choice. But everyone knows that stepping forward is not an honor. It is volunteering to die. Then a boy near the front moves, maybe 13 years old, tall for his age. He takes one step forward and then another. Like breaking a dam, others follow. Dozens of boys pushing through the crowd. Some are crying. Some look determined. All of them are desperate to escape the mines, to matter, to become something other than another corpse feeding the Imperium's endless hunger. You do not want to step forward. Every instinct tells you to stay still, to survive by being invisible. But you think about your mother coughing blood, about your sisters alone in a world that will devour them, about the fact that you are just a child with no power to change anything. And you realize you have no choice. Not really, because doing nothing is just another way of watching everyone you love die. You step forward. Your mother sees you move. She screams your name. She fights through the crowd, people cursing as she shoves past them. She reaches you and grabs your arm, trying to pull you back. Please, she begs, not you. Take someone else. He is all I have left. The Storm Wyvern leader turns his helmet toward you. The eye lenses focus like camera apertures. He walks over, each footstep making the ground shudder. His gauntlet, large enough to crush your skull without effort, reaches down. But he does not grab you. He kneels, brings himself down to your eye level despite the massive armor. Your son volunteered, he says to your mother. His voice is quieter now, still processed through the helmet speakers but somehow more human. He made a choice to serve, to become something that can protect others. Would you deny him that purpose? Would you keep him here to die slowly in the mines like his father? Your mother's grip on your arm tightens, then loosens, then falls away. She looks at you and you see the moment she understands. That you are already gone. That the boy she raised no longer exists because that boy stepped forward and volunteered to die. She does not say goodbye. She just turns and walks away, shoulders shaking with silent sobs. You watch her disappear into the crowd. You do not know it yet, but you will never see her again. She will die in a mine collapse 8 months from now. Your sisters will be sent to a work camp on the day side of the planet. Only one will survive to adulthood. You will never learn which one, because by the time you have the power to find out, you will not care anymore. The Storm Wyverns take 50 boys. You are loaded into a transport with the others. The interior is cramped, utilitarian. Metal benches bolted to the walls. No padding, no comfort. The trip to orbit takes 6 hours and most of the boys vomit from the acceleration and the zero gravity. A younger boy, maybe 9, cries the entire journey. Nobody comforts him. You are all too terrified to think about anyone else. The fortress monastery is called the Crucible and the name is not metaphorical. The entire structure is built inside a hollowed-out moon. Every corridor radiates heat. Every chamber contains fire in some form. Forges where weapons are crafted. Crematoriums where the dead are honored. Training halls where flames test your endurance. The storm wyverns do not just use fire. They worship it. They see it as the ultimate purifier, the tool that separates worthy from weak. The first trial begins within an hour of arrival. They strip away your clothes, herd you naked into a massive chamber. The floor is metal grating suspended over channels of actual magma. The heat is overwhelming. Your skin prickles and reddens immediately. Your lungs burn with each breath. Sweat pours down your body and evaporates before it can drip. A storm wyvern appears on a platform above you. His helmet is removed and you can see his face for the first time. It is wrong. The skin is too pale, almost gray. The eyes are too intense, like they are burning from the inside. The bone structure is too heavy, the jaw too pronounced. This is what you will become if you survive. Something that looks almost human but fundamentally is not. You will walk to the far side of this chamber, he says. Those who cannot will be sent home. This is your first lesson. Endurance separates the worthy from the weak. You have 1 hour. Begin. The chamber is maybe 100 meters across. Under normal circumstances, this would be easy, but the heat rising from the magma channels is intense enough to cook flesh. Several boys collapse within the first minute. They just crumple, legs giving out, bodies hitting the hot metal grating with sounds like meat slapping stone. Servitors drag them away. You do not know if they are dead or just unconscious. You do not look back to check. You start walking, 1 foot in front of the other. Focus on breathing even though every breath feels like inhaling fire. Your vision blurs. The world reduces to the next step, then the next. Around you, other boys are falling. Some try to run and collapse faster from the exertion. Some crawl when their legs give out. Some just lie down and wait for the servitors. You make it 20 meters and your legs start shaking. 40 meters and you are stumbling. 60 meters and you go down on your hands and knees. The metal grating burns your palms, but you keep moving, crawling, dragging yourself forward because stopping means going home, and going home means your sisters die alone and your sacrifice meant nothing. You cross the threshold at 94 meters and collapse on the other side. Cool air washes over you like a blessing from the Emperor himself. You lie there gasping, your body shaking, your hands blistered and bleeding. Of the 50 boys who entered, 21 made it across. The others are gone, sent home or dead. The storm wyverns do not explain which. The training that follows makes the first trial seem like mercy. They wake you every day at 3 in the morning with alarms that feel like ice picks in your brain. You have 5 minutes to dress in the gray training fatigues they provide. If you are late, you do not eat that day. The food when you do eat is a protein paste that tastes like ash and burnt meat. You force it down because the alternative is starvation. The physical training is designed to break you. They run you through obstacle courses where every surface is heated. Walls of metal you have to climb that burn your hands and feet. Pools of near-boiling water you have to swim through while wearing weighted vests. Chambers filled with thick smoke where you have to navigate blind. Your lungs screaming for clean air that does not exist. A boy named Draven refuses to continue on the 3rd day. He is older than you, bigger, and he has reached his limit. This is insane, he shouts at the instructor. You are killing us. We volunteered to fight enemies, not to be tortured by our own brothers. The instructor is Brother Theron, a storm wyvern whose face shows the scars of 100 battles. He does not get angry. He just watches Draven with those intense, burning eyes. You are correct, he finally says. We are torturing you, because the enemies you will face will do worse. Orcs will tear you apart slowly, keeping you alive to hear your own screams. Dark Eldar will make your suffering last for centuries. Chaos will twist your body and soul into shapes you cannot imagine. We are preparing you for reality. If you cannot handle this, you cannot handle what comes next. Draven leaves that day. They send him home with no ceremony, no acknowledgement. He simply disappears during the night and is never mentioned again. You learn the lesson. Complaining accomplishes nothing. Refusing accomplishes nothing. You either endure or you vanish. Boys die during training. Not as many as in some chapters, but enough. A boy named Marcus has his heart give out during a forced march through a heated tunnel. He just stops running and falls, dead before he hits the ground. Another boy, whose name you never learned, falls during a climbing exercise, 30 meters straight down onto stone. The sound his body makes on impact haunts your nightmares for months. The mortality rate during training is 15%. 3 boys dead out of 21. That sounds manageable until you realize you knew them, talked to them, watched them struggle and fail and die, and you feel nothing. That is what disturbs you most. Not their deaths, but your lack of reaction to their deaths. The boy from Draco's who loved his family is dying too, just more slowly. The implantation process begins on your 12th birthday. You are one of 18 survivors from your original group. They take you to the Apothecarian, a chamber filled with surgical equipment and servitors and the smell of blood and antiseptic. The chief apothecary explains the process in clinical detail. 27 organs will be implanted over the next 4 years, each one designed to enhance you, to transform you into something beyond human. The secondary heart comes first. They cut open your chest while you are awake. The pain suppressants barely work. You can feel everything. The scalpel slicing through skin. The rib spreader prying your chest open. The cold touch of surgical tools inside your body. The sensation of the new heart being placed next to your original. Then the worst part, the waiting. Lying on the table while your body decides whether to accept this foreign organ or reject it and kill you. The fever hits on the second day. Your body temperature spikes to levels that should cause brain damage. You hallucinate, see things that are not there. Your mother standing by your bed, telling you everything will be okay. Your father emerging from the mine collapse, covered in blood but smiling. Your sisters burning while you watch and cannot move to help them. The hallucinations feel more real than reality. 4 boys die from secondary heart rejection. Their immune systems attack the new organ, triggering cascading failures that shut down everything. You survive. When the fever finally breaks, you can feel the difference. 2 hearts beating in your chest in rhythm. Your endurance has increased noticeably. But the cost is written in the scar tissue and the memory of feeling your body try to kill itself. But the storm wyverns add something else. Something unique to Salamander's successors. They call it the furnace organ, though the official designation is pyrophagic node. It is implanted near your spine during the same surgery as the osmodula, a small organ that modifies how your body processes heat, makes you resistant to temperatures that would kill normal humans instantly. The rejection rate for the furnace organ is 40%. Your body might decide this modification is too extreme. Your nervous system might rebel against having your heat tolerance fundamentally altered. You lie in the recovery bay for a week after the implantation. Your body burns with fever again. Not from infection, but from the furnace organ integrating with your existing systems, teaching your cells to survive in environments they were never designed for. You dream during the fever. Dream of fire consuming everything. Your home burning. Draco's itself igniting and turning to ash. You wake up screaming that the fortress monastery is on fire, that you need to evacuate. The apothecaries sedate you when this happens. force you back under until the fever breaks and your mind can distinguish between nightmare and reality again. When you finally recover, only 11 boys remain from your group of 18. 7 died during this round of implantation, their bodies unable to handle the modifications. The apothecaries harvest their gene seed and dispose of the rest. Nothing is wasted. That is a lesson the storm wyverns teach constantly. Every death serves a purpose, even if that purpose is just to warn others of failure. The other organs follow over the next 4 years. The biscopia that enhances your muscles, the hemastamen that modifies your blood, the Laramens organ that makes your blood clot almost instantly. Each implantation is tested with fire. They burn you deliberately to see if your enhanced healing works, if your modified blood can handle extreme temperatures, if your body is becoming what they need it to be. The mucranoid is crucial for storm wyverns. This organ modifies your sweat glands to produce a waxy substance that protects your skin from temperature extremes. They test it by placing you in a chamber and igniting it. Actual flames surround you and your instincts scream to run, to escape. But you stand there while your body secretes the protective coating, while fire washes over you without causing permanent damage. The first time this happens, you are convinced you are going to die. The rational part of your brain understands that this is a test, that they would not deliberately kill you after investing so much in your training. But the primitive part, the part that is still Cain from Dracos, knows that fire means death, knows that standing in flames is suicide. But you survive. The mucranoid works. The waxy secretion keeps you safe while the chamber burns hot enough to melt lead. And something fundamental changes in your psychology. You stop fearing fire, not because you are brave, but because your body no longer recognizes it as a lethal threat. Fire becomes just another environmental condition, like rain or wind, something to note but not to fear. This is what the storm wyverns want. Warriors who can walk through infernos without hesitation, who can use fire as a weapon without worrying about backblast or collateral heat damage, who can turn entire battlefields into crematoriums and emerge unscathed. The Becher's gland is implanted in your mouth, produces acid strong enough to dissolve metal. They test it by having you spit at steel plates, watching the acid eat through centimeters of hardened metal in seconds. The sensation is profoundly wrong. Having a weapon growing in your mouth, tasting acid on your tongue without it burning you. Your brain struggles to accept that this is normal now. A boy named Cato accidentally swallows during his test. His Becher's gland releases acid into his throat instead of out of his mouth. He dies choking and gurgling while the acid dissolves his esophagus from the inside. The apothecaries watch and take notes. Another data point, another lesson in the cost of failure. The progenoid glands are the most important implants. 2 of them are placed in your body, 1 in your neck, 1 in your chest. They grow slowly over years, harvesting genetic material that can be used to create more space marines. These glands are your legacy, the way your genetic line continues even after death. The apothecaries explain this in detail. Your life is valuable, but these glands are irreplaceable. If you must choose between surviving a battle and protecting your progenoids, you protect the progenoids. Your death is acceptable. The loss of gene seed is not. The message is clear. You are not valuable as a person. You are valuable as a container for organs that will outlive you. The black carapace is the final implant, a layer of neural interface tissue that grows beneath your skin across your entire torso. It allows you to connect directly with power armor, to feel the armor as an extension of your own body rather than something you wear. The implantation involves injecting the tissue beneath your skin and then waiting for it to grow, to spread, to integrate with your nervous system. The sensation is like having something crawling beneath your flesh. You can feel it moving, spreading, connecting. Some boys go insane from this. The violation of having their bodies invaded from within breaks something in their minds. They start clawing at their own skin, trying to dig out the foreign tissue. The apothecaries sedate them heavily. Most recover. Some do not. By the time the implantation process is complete, you are 16 years old. You are one of 8 survivors from your original group of 50, an 84% mortality rate. You are among the lucky ones. You stand 7.5 feet tall even without armor. Your body is a mass of muscle and scar tissue. Your skin has a strange waxy texture from the mucranoid. Your eyes can see clearly through smoke and flame. Your lungs can filter out ash and toxins that would kill normal humans in minutes. You look at yourself in a mirror and do not recognize what looks back. The boy from Draco's is gone. What remains is a weapon, a tool designed for killing. But the storm wyverns are not finished with you yet. Because being a Salamander's successor means more than just surviving fire. It means inheriting their philosophy, their culture, their impossible burden of caring about humanity in a universe designed to punish compassion. Brother Captain Mordrin addresses you and the 7 other survivors directly. You are weapons, yes, but you are not mindless. You are not tools to be used and discarded. You are the Emperor's gift to humanity, protectors of those who cannot protect themselves. This is what separates us from monsters wearing our colors. We fight for humanity, not for glory or conquest. We value every human life, even when we must end those lives to prevent greater suffering. That last part confuses you. End lives to prevent suffering? How does killing protect? Mordrin sees the confusion on your face. He orders the servitors to display footage on the chamber's view screens. What you see will define the rest of your existence. The footage shows a world called Partha 7. An orc invasion had overrun most of the major cities. Millions of civilians were trapped with no way to evacuate. The orcs were hours away from reaching them. The storm wyverns could not save everyone, did not have the numbers or the transport capacity or the time. So they made a choice. They burned the cities, deliberately, set massive fires using orbital bombardment and melta-weapons and flammers, killed everyone inside, human and orc alike. The footage shows civilians running from the flames, shows parents carrying children who are already burning, shows people screaming for the storm wyverns to save them while the storm wyverns instead drop incendiaries on their heads. The screaming is worse than anything you experienced during implantation. Worse than the boys who died during training. Worse than your own fever dreams. These are not combatants. These are families, children, elderly, people who trusted the Space Marines to protect them. And the Space Marines are burning them alive. Mordrin lets the footage play for 15 minutes. Shows you city after city consumed by fire. Shows you the final moments of millions of people. Then he stops the playback and turns to face you. This is what we do, he says. This is the burden we carry. We love humanity enough to kill them when necessary. To give them clean deaths instead of slow horror. Other chapters would have left them to the orcs. Would have moved on to objectives that mattered strategically. We stayed. We ended their suffering quickly, and we will remember every face, every name, every life we took for the rest of our existence. You want to vomit, want to scream that this is wrong, that burning civilians cannot possibly be mercy. But your enhanced mind processes the tactical reality. Death by fire takes minutes. Death by orc takes days. The orcs would have tortured them, eaten them alive, turned them into trophies. The storm wyverns gave them a faster end. Less painful in total, even if more immediately terrifying. Understanding does not make it easier. does not erase the images of burning children from your enhanced memory, does not change the fact that you are being trained to make the same choices, to become someone who pulls the trigger on innocence because the alternative is worse. One of your fellow aspirants, a boy named Talvis who survived every trial alongside you, raises his hand. Brother Captain, how do we know when that is the right choice? How do we decide when mercy requires murder? The silence that follows is absolute. Mordrin stands motionless for a long moment. You do not. He finally says, you never know for certain. You make the best choice you can with the information you have, and then you live with the consequences forever. This is what separates us from true monsters. Monsters do not question their actions. Monsters do not remember their victims. We question everything. We remember everyone. And we still act when action is necessary because inaction means watching everyone die slowly instead of quickly. He pauses, then continues. The Marines malevolent would have bombed those cities without hesitation and felt nothing. The Space Wolves might have charged in trying to save everyone and gotten themselves killed for no gain. The Ultramarines would have calculated the strategic value and made the logical choice. We calculated the same logic, but we also cried for every life we took. We burned them because we loved them too much to let them suffer. That is the curse of being Vulcan's sons. We care when caring is a liability. The training continues for another year. Combat drills, tactical simulations, lessons in imperial history and xenobiology and 1,000 other subjects. But underlying everything is the understanding of what you are becoming. Not heroes, not saviors, pragmatic protectors who will commit atrocities to prevent larger atrocities, who will carry the weight of their choices until death finally releases them. Your first battle after becoming a full Space Marine happens on a hive world called Vulcanus Prime. The irony of the name does not escape you. The world's hive cities are built around active volcanoes, using geothermal energy to power their industries. Chaos cultists have seized one of the largest hives, turned it into a fortress. Your mission is to eliminate them and retake the hive for the Imperium. The drop pod descent is violent. The pod screams through the atmosphere, shaking so hard your teeth rattle despite your enhanced physiology. The impact when you land drives the breath from your lungs. The ramp drops and you charge into hell wearing armor that weighs more than your childhood self did, but feels like skin. The cultists fight with insane fervor. They throw themselves at you with no regard for survival. Your bolt pistol barks, each shot taking a cultist in the chest or head. Your flamer turns groups of them into torches. The mucranoid keeps you safe as you wade through flames. Heat that would kill normal humans barely registers through your armor and enhanced biology. Your squad clears the hive level by level, room by room. The cultists have defiled everything. The walls are covered in blasphemous symbols painted in blood. The air reeks of corruption and death. You kill hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Your enhanced memory records every face even as your finger pulls the trigger. You will remember them all. That is both the blessing and curse of Salamander's gene seed. You cannot forget. Then you find the civilians, an entire sublevel full of them. Thousands of people chained to walls and floors. They have been here for months, used in rituals, bled for chaos sorcery, tortured for the amusement of the cultists. The smell is overwhelming even through your helmet's filters. Waste and blood and decay and despair given physical form. They are dying. All of them. You do not need medical training to see it. Starvation has reduced them to skeletons wrapped in skin. Disease has turned their flesh gangrenous. The ritual wounds have festered and infected. Even if you evacuate them immediately, most will not survive. And you cannot evacuate them. The hive is unstable. The fighting too intense. The strategic situation too fluid. Brother Sergeant Corvus, your squad leader, assesses the situation in seconds. His voice over the vox is steady, but you can hear the pain underneath. We give them mercy. Make it quick. Make it clean. The Emperor will judge us for this choice, but we will face that judgment rather than leave these people to suffer further. You understand what he is ordering. The civilians are looking at you with hope in their eyes. They see the storm wyverns, see space marines, and think salvation has arrived. They do not understand yet that you are their death, that the warriors who came to save them will instead end their lives. Brother Talvis is in your squad, the same boy who questioned mercy during training. His flamer shakes slightly as he raises it. This is wrong, he says over the vox. There has to be another way. We cannot just murder them. Corvus's voice remains steady. There is not another way. And even if there was, we do not have time to find it. These people are dying. We can give them minutes instead of days. We can give them fire instead of whatever the cultists will do when they retake this level. This is what we trained for, brother. This is why we carry flammers. You raise your own flamer. Target the civilians nearest you. They are begging now, reaching toward you with skeletal hands, pleading for help, for salvation. Your targeting systems lock on automatically. Your training takes over. The understanding that this is mercy even though every part of you that remains human screams that it is murder. You pull the trigger. Prometheum ignites. The stream of fire washes over the chained civilians and they start screaming. The mucranoid protects you from the heat, but nothing protects you from the sound. The smell of burning human flesh fills the chamber. Other members of your squad fire too. 8 flammers turning thousands of people into funeral pyres. Takes 3 minutes for everyone to die. 3 minutes of continuous burning. 3 minutes of screaming that your enhanced hearing captures in perfect detail. When it is done, the entire sublevel is a crematorium. Ash and charred bone and the melted remains of chains are all that is left. Brother Sergeant Corvus makes the sign of the Aquila over the dead. They are at peace now, he says. The Emperor protects them in death as we could not in life. May we be forgiven for this mercy. But the words sound hollow even over vox. The Emperor did not protect them. You killed them, burned them alive because the alternative was leaving them to suffer longer. The mission continues. You retake the hive, eliminate the remaining cultists, restore imperial rule. The operation is declared a success. Your squad is commended for efficiency and tactical excellence. Nobody mentions the thousands of civilians you burned alive. They appear in the after-action report as casualties of chaos occupation. Technically true, pragmatically necessary, morally devastating. The Storm Wyverns hold a memorial service for the dead of Vulcanus Prime. Thousands of names inscribed on a wall in the fortress monastery. Every battle brother who participated in the mercy killing is required to visit the wall weekly, to read names, to remember faces, to carry the burden of what was done. This is what separates the Storm Wyverns from true monsters. Monsters would walk away and forget. The Storm Wyverns stay and remember. But something breaks inside Talvis. You can see it in the way he moves after Vulcanus Prime, the way he hesitates before following orders. 3 months later, during a battle against Dark Eldar raiders, Talvis refuses to burn a group of captured civilians the Xenos are using as shields. He charges instead, trying to save them through melee combat. The Dark Eldar kill everyone, civilians and Talvis both, while laughing at his stupidity. The chapter holds a memorial for Brother Talvis. Brother Captain Mordrin delivers the eulogy personally. Brother Talvis forgot the first lesson. Intent does not matter to the dead. He wanted to save those people, but his compassion killed them just as surely as flamer fire would have. Perhaps more cruelly, because the Dark Eldar made their deaths last for hours. We honor his heart but learn from his mistake. Love without pragmatism is just another form of failure. You understand the lesson. The Storm Wyverns genuinely care about humanity, but they care with cold calculation that prioritizes results over feelings. They will burn 1,000 innocents to save 10,000 more. Will commit small atrocities to prevent larger ones. Will become monsters who weep for their victims while killing them anyway. You serve for 82 years. You fight on dozens of worlds. You save millions of lives through your actions. You personally kill thousands of enemies in clean combat. And you burn hundreds of innocents in mercy killings that haunt your dreams. You carry every face, every scream, every moment of watching hope turn to horror in their eyes as they realize their saviors are their executioners. Other chapters do not understand the Storm Wyverns. The Marines malevolent think you are weak for caring about casualties at all. Why waste ammunition on mercy? Why not just leave and let the orcs or chaos or tyrannids have them? The Ultramarines think you are barbaric for killing the people you are supposed to protect. Better to die trying to save them than to burn them alive. Neither side understands that you have made peace with damnation. That you accepted long ago that you will burn in whatever afterlife exists for the choices you make. The Storm Wyverns are not the only Salamander's successor struggling with this burden. The Drake Wardens take it further. They believe fire is sacred, that burning is the only honorable death. They will reduce entire hive cities to ash rather than let them be corrupted by chaos. Billions dead in purifying flames. The Inquisition has declared them excommunicate traitores 3 separate times for excessive collateral damage. Each time they are eventually reinstated when investigations prove the worlds would have fallen to chaos without the Drake Warden's intervention. But the pattern continues. The Drake Wardens burn first and justify later. The Obsidian Gorgons are worse. They recruit from death worlds where might makes right, where the strong survive and the weak die. They kept the Salamanders' compassion but twisted it through their culture. They believe protecting humanity means culling weakness. They will save a city by executing everyone too young, old, or injured to fight effectively. Killing thousands to save millions. They justify it as pragmatism. The Inquisition calls it eugenics. But the Obsidian Gorgons continue because proving they are wrong requires admitting that some humans are worth less than others, and the Imperium cannot make that admission officially even though it makes it constantly in practice. The Black Dragons are barely considered loyalists. Their gene seed is obviously corrupted. They grow bone blades from their forearms and skulls, literal blades of ossified tissue that emerge through their skin. The Inquisition suspects chaos taint. Half the Imperium thinks they should be exterminated as abhumans. But the Black Dragons maintain they are loyalists, that their mutations are gifts that make them better protectors. They love humanity enough to become monsters on its behalf, to wear the face of Xenos while fighting for human survival. Each Salamander's successor takes Vulcan's teachings and interprets them through their own desperation, their own necessity, their own horror at what the universe demands. The Salamanders wanted to create protectors who valued human life. Instead, they created a dozen chapters who love humanity so much they will burn it alive to save it from worse fates. You are 53 years old when you finally understand the true horror of your existence. Not your biological age, which is 16 when accounting for enhanced maturity, but 53 years since you were taken from Dracos. You are on a world called Pyraxis fighting against a Tyrannid splinter fleet. The Xenos arrived 6 weeks ago and have been consuming everything. The planet will fall within days. Command has ordered full evacuation, but there are not enough ships. Not enough time. Not enough space. Millions will be left behind. Your company is assigned to provide rearguard while the evacuation proceeds. Hold the line long enough for the ships to lift off with those who can be saved. Then retreat to orbit and abandon the rest. Standard procedure. Pragmatic. Logical. The calculus of triage applied to planetary scale. But Brother Captain Mordrin makes a different choice. He orders the company to the main refugee center. 50,000 civilians packed into a fortified structure, waiting for rescue ships that will never come. When you arrive in your drop pods, they cheer. They see the storm wyverns and think salvation has arrived. Think the Emperor has answered their prayers. They do not understand yet that you are not their rescue. You are their mercy. Mordrin steps forward, his armor still smoking from re-entry. He orders his helmet removed so the civilians can see his face, so they can see he is human or was once. His voice carries across the crowd, amplified by voxcasters. "I will not lie to you," he says. "We cannot save you. The evacuation ships are full. The Tyranids will be here within hours. You will die today, that is certain. But we can give you a choice. The silence that follows is absolute." 50,000 people processing what they just heard. That their protectors are offering them death instead of hope. Mordrin continues, his voice steady, but you can hear the pain underneath if you listen carefully. You can die to the Tyranids. They will absorb you into the hive fleet while you are still alive, while you are still aware. They will break down your bodies at the cellular level and you will experience every moment of it. The process takes hours, or we can give you fire, quick death, clean death, death that ends in seconds instead of hours. This is the only mercy we can offer, the only choice left. An old woman steps forward from the crowd. Her face is lined with age, her body bent but her eyes are clear. She looks directly at Mordrin despite the massive difference in size. "If we choose the fire, will you remember us? Will our deaths mean something?" Mordrin kneels, bringing himself down to her level. The gesture is incongruous. A demigod in power armor kneeling before a fragile elderly woman. "I will remember every face," he promises, "every name, every life. You will be inscribed on our memorial walls. Your names will be spoken in our rituals. Your sacrifice will be remembered for as long as the storm wyverns exist. This I swear by the Emperor and by Vulcan's memory." The old woman nods slowly. "Then we choose fire. Let our deaths serve the Emperor. Let him know we went willingly rather than feed his enemies." She turns to face the crowd. "We choose fire. Who stands with me?" Others step forward. A father holding his daughter, maybe 6 years old, who does not understand what is happening. A group of young men who were probably PDF soldiers before the evacuation. A pregnant woman who places her hands protectively over her belly and whispers something you cannot hear through your audio filters. One by one, they choose fire. They choose death at the hands of their protectors because the alternative is worse. Not everyone chooses. Some run trying to escape. Some beg for rescue, for evacuation, for any option other than fire. Some simply stand there in shock, unable to process what is being offered. Mordrin gives them 10 minutes to decide. Then he gives the order. You form the execution detail with your brothers. 50 storm wyverns surrounding 50,000 civilians. Your flommers are ready. Your hearts are heavy with the weight of what you are about to do, though your enhanced physiology means heavy hearts do not affect your combat effectiveness. The civilians who chose fire kneel. Some pray, some cry, some hold each other, some close their eyes and wait. Brother Captain Mordrin makes the sign of the Aquila. The Emperor protects. He says, "Even in death, especially in death, make it quick, brothers. Let their suffering be measured in seconds, not hours." You pull the trigger. 50 flommers ignite simultaneously. Promethium streams across the kneeling crowd. The screaming starts immediately but ends quickly. Fire from Space Marine-grade flammers burns hot enough to consume flesh in seconds. The heat is so intense that those at the edge of the flame pattern die from thermal shock before the fire reaches them. Within 90 seconds, every civilian who chose fire is dead. The ones who ran are still trying to escape. Some have made it several hundred meters from the refugee center. They are begging over Vox channels, pleading for pickup, for salvation. The Tyranids are already visible on the horizon. A living tide of chitin and teeth and hunger. Those civilians will die in approximately 40 minutes. They will experience every moment of being absorbed into the hive fleet. They chose their fate. Your company retreats to the evacuation ships. The last drop pod lifts off as the first Tyranid organisms reach the refugee center. They find nothing but ash and charred bone. No biomass to absorb. No genetic material to enhance the hive fleet. Just carbon and regret and the lingering smell of burnt flesh. The storm wyverns hold a ceremony for the dead of Pyraxis. 50,000 names are inscribed on memorial walls throughout the fortress monastery. Every battle brother who participated in the mercy killing is assigned names to memorize. You are given 417 names. You will speak them during morning rituals for the rest of your life. You will remember their faces from those final moments. You will carry them until death releases you. Brother Theron, your old instructor who is now a chaplain, finds you at the memorial wall 3 days after Pyraxis. You are reading names, trying to match them to the faces you remember. He stands beside you in silence for a long time before speaking. Do you regret it? He asks. The choice to give them fire? You consider the question carefully. Your enhanced mind processes multiple scenarios simultaneously. What would have happened if you had tried to save them all? If you had stayed to fight the Tyranids? If you had simply left them without offering mercy? Yes, you finally say, I regret that it was necessary. I regret that the Imperium is so broken that mercy requires murder. I regret that we live in a universe where burning 50,000 people is the compassionate choice. But I do not regret pulling the trigger, because the alternative was worse. Theron nods slowly. That is the burden of our chapter. Of all Salamanders' successors, we care too much to walk away and not enough to find better answers. We love humanity but not wisely, not perfectly, just desperately. We kill because we love and we love despite killing, and that contradiction will destroy us all eventually. You serve for 82 more years after Pyraxis, 135 years total. You fight on hundreds of worlds. You save millions through conventional combat. You kill tens of thousands of enemies in clean battles where right and wrong are clear. And you burn thousands more innocents in mercy killings that blur the line between protector and executioner. Each mercy killing follows the same pattern. Civilians trapped with no hope of rescue. Enemies approaching who will make their deaths slow and horrible. The calculation that fast death is better than slow death. The promises to remember. The flames, the screaming, the ash, the names on memorial walls, the burden that grows heavier with each edition but never becomes easier to bear. Other chapters hear about your actions and react with contempt or confusion. The space wolves think you are cowards for burning people instead of dying alongside them in glorious last stands. The dark angels think you are weak for caring about civilian casualties at all. The Blood Angels understand better than most, because they also carry a curse that makes them monsters despite their intentions, but even they do not burn civilians as policy. The Salamanders themselves are conflicted about their successors. Reports from the parent chapter indicate increasing concern about the Storm Wyvern's methods, about the Drake Warden's excessive use of fire, about the Obsidian Gorgon's culling practices. The Salamanders send delegations, offer retraining, suggest that perhaps the successors have lost their way. The Successors send back combat reports detailing exactly why mercy sometimes requires murder. Neither side convinces the other because both are right and both are wrong, and the universe does not care about philosophical debates. You are 135 years old when you die. The end comes on a fortress world called Gora V during a Black Crusade. Chaos Space Marines have broken through the Cadian Gate again. Reality itself is fracturing. Your company is holding a critical choke point against overwhelming numbers. The mission is simple. Hold for 6 hours while civilians evacuate behind you. Then fall back. Standard rearguard action. But the enemy brings a chaos dreadnought. An ancient warrior entombed in a walking sarcophagus, corrupted by 10,000 years of worship to the dark gods. The dreadnought breaks your line, kills a dozen of your brothers in minutes. You charge it with a meltagun, trying to get close enough for a killing shot. You succeed. The melta blast punches through the dreadnought's armor, cooking the corrupted marine inside. But the dreadnought's death throes include one final attack. Its power fist catches you across the chest, crushing your armor and the enhanced biology beneath. You go down hard, both hearts punctured, lungs collapsed, internal bleeding that even your enhanced clotting cannot stop. Brother Sergeant Corvus, who has been your squad leader for over a century, kneels beside you. Your helmet display shows critical damage to vital systems. You have minutes at most. The mission is complete. Corvus says over your private Vox channel. The civilians are evacuated. We held the line. You did your duty, brother. You protected them. The Emperor recognizes your sacrifice. You try to speak, but blood fills your mouth. Your Becher's gland mixes with the blood, creating a caustic mixture that burns. You have questions. Did you protect anyone? Really? Or did you just kill them differently than the enemies would have? Are the thousands of names on memorial walls people you saved or people you murdered? Does the Emperor forgive mercy killings, or does he judge you for every life taken? Corvus seems to understand even though you cannot speak. He removes his helmet so you can see his face. The face of a man who has carried the same burden for longer than you have. Who has made the same impossible choices and will continue making them until his own death. He is weeping, tears running down his scarred face. This is what separates the storm wyverns from monsters. Monsters do not weep for their victims. Your last thought before consciousness fades is about your mother, the woman who tried to save you from the recruiters, who died in a mine collapse while you were being transformed into a weapon. You wonder if she would be proud of what you became, if she would understand that you tried to protect others the way she tried to protect you, or if she would be horrified at the things you did in the name of protection. You will never know. That question will remain unanswered forever. Your body is recovered after the battle. Your progenoid glands are harvested to create more space marines who will face the same impossible choices. Your name is added to the memorial walls alongside the thousands you killed mercifully. Your service record notes hundreds of commendations, dozens of battles, millions of enemies killed. It does not note the thousands of civilians you burned alive because those do not appear in official records as anything other than casualties of enemy action. The Storm Wyverns hold a ceremony. Brother Captain Mordrin delivers the eulogy. Brother Kane served with honor. He protected humanity when protection meant making impossible choices. He carried the burden of our chapter without breaking. He loved enough to kill and killed only when love demanded it. May the Emperor judge him kindly. May Vulcan welcome him home. May his sacrifice be remembered. The words are beautiful, traditional, meaningless. You were Kane once, an 11-year-old boy from Draco's who wanted to protect his sisters. You became something else, something that could walk through fire without fear. Something that could burn civilians alive and call it mercy. something that carried thousands of names and faces and screams in enhanced memory that never faded or forgot. Were you a hero? A monster? A necessary evil? All three? None? The Imperium does not care about such questions. It needed weapons that could protect humanity through any means necessary. It got you. You and 10,000 others like you across all the Salamanders' Successor chapters. Warriors who loved humanity enough to become its executioners. Who burned the innocent to save them from worse fates. Who carried guilt that should have destroyed them but instead became their fuel. And somewhere on Draco's right now, another storm wyvern is walking into another settlement, looking for children strong enough to survive. Another mother will try to stop them. Another child will be taken. Another life will be transformed into a weapon that loves with flames. The cycle continues. The forge never stops. The Imperium consumes its children and calls it salvation. But here is what makes Salamander's Successors uniquely tragic. Most Space Marine chapters do not care about the people they kill. The Marines malevolent bomb civilians without hesitation or regret. The Black Templars see collateral damage as irrelevant to righteous crusades. Even noble chapters like the Ultramarines view civilian casualties as regrettable but acceptable statistics. But the Salamanders and their successors care. They care deeply, desperately, painfully. They remember every face, carry every name, weep for their victims while killing them anyway. This makes them better than the chapters who kill without caring. But it also makes them worse, because the Marines malevolent can be dismissed as monsters. The Black Templars can be understood as zealots. But the Storm Wyverns? The Drake Wardens? The Obsidian Gorgons? They love you. They genuinely want to save you. And they will burn you alive because they love you too much to let you suffer longer. That is infinitely more terrifying than simple brutality. Imagine being a civilian on a world under attack. Enemy forces are closing in. You cannot evacuate. You are trapped. Then you see drop pods falling from the sky. Space Marines arriving. Your prayers are answered. Salvation has come. Until you see the colors. Storm gray and bronze. The dragon skulls. The storm wyverns. And you realize that salvation might mean fire. That being saved might mean being killed. That the warriors who care about your life might care enough to end it quickly rather than watch you die slowly. Some civilians choose to hide from the storm wyverns. Take their chances with the orcs or tyranids or chaos. Death at the hands of monsters is somehow more acceptable than mercy killing by protectors. At least monsters are honest about what they are. The storm wyverns lie by wearing the face of heroes while acting as executioners. But the storm wyverns are not lying. They are heroes. They do protect humanity. They save millions through conventional combat. They hold lines that should break. They sacrifice themselves to buy time for evacuations. They genuinely try to save everyone. The mercy killings happen when saving everyone is impossible. When the choice is between bad and worse. When love requires brutality. This is the true horror of Salamander's Successor chapters. Not that they are monsters pretending to be heroes, but that they are heroes forced to become monsters by a universe that offers no other choice. They represent the Imperium in microcosm. Good intentions twisted by necessity. Compassion weaponized into cruelty. Love that burns as hot as hatred. The Salamanders wanted to create protectors who valued human life, who would fight for the common people instead of just for the Emperor's glory, who would remember that every civilian casualty is a tragedy, not a statistic. They succeeded. Every Successor chapter carries that value. Every warrior remembers every victim. The memorial walls prove it. The ceremonies prove it. The tears prove it. They value human life deeply and genuinely, and that is what makes their mercy killings so utterly devastating. Because when someone who does not care about you kills you, it is just murder. When someone who loves you kills you to spare you greater suffering, it is tragedy. And the Imperium runs on tragedy, requires tragedy, demands tragedy from everyone who serves it. The Salamanders' successors are just honest enough to admit what they are doing, brave enough to carry the weight, foolish enough to believe that remembering makes it better. You were Cain once, 11 years old, wanted to protect your family. The Imperium took you and transformed you into something that could protect millions by burning thousands. Your mother tried to save you from this fate. She failed. You became exactly what the storm wyverns needed. A weapon that loves. A killer who cares. A protector who will murder the people he is protecting if that is what mercy requires. And the Imperium calls this salvation, calls this necessary, calls this the price of survival in the grim darkness of the far future. And maybe it is necessary. Maybe there really are no better options. Maybe burning civilians to spare them from tyrannids really is the compassionate choice. But necessity does not make it less horrific, does not make the screaming easier to hear, does not erase the names from memorial walls or the faces from enhanced memory. This is the burning truth about Salamander's successor chapters. They are the good guys, the ones who care, the ones who value human life. And that is exactly what makes them so terrifying, because they will love you enough to burn you alive. They will care about you enough to remember your name while they pull the trigger. They will value your life enough to end it quickly instead of letting you suffer slowly. And they will carry the weight of that choice forever, crying for you even as they kill you, becoming monsters who weep so that humanity can survive another day in a universe designed to destroy compassion. The Storm Wyverns are still recruiting on Dracos. The Drake Wardens are still burning worlds to save them. The Obsidian Gorgons are still culling the weak to protect the strong. The Black Dragons are still growing bone blades and fighting for an Imperium that fears them. All of them are Vulcan's sons. All of them love humanity. All of them will kill you if they think it is mercy. And they will remember your face forever, adding your name to walls that grow longer with each passing year, carrying burdens that should break them but instead define them, becoming living proof that in the Imperium, even love is a weapon. Even compassion draws blood. Even the good guys burn children. And they do it while crying, which somehow makes it worse than if they did it while laughing. Because monsters you can fight. Heroes who become monsters to save you. Those you can only weep for as they weep for you. Flames rising between protector and protected. Turning mercy into murder and love into ash.